Please state your operational identification of
Oscar 9117.
Black Level 012 restricted access granted. What operational information would you like downloaded?
File access for Castle Grayskull.
Selected Black Level operational file Grayskull is access and password protected.
Password Skeletor. Level of access Felis.
Password for selected file. Redacted file access granted for current aspects of the third offensive.
Welcome to Personal Flash Paper, an Infinity podcast with a focus on beginner topics in the game of Infinity. On this episode, Hobby Desk, and the winner of the Hobby Streak, the rule of the episode, Camouflage, and the main topic, a conversation about the known changes with the third offensive and what it means for the new players. With your hosts, Rob,
Randy,
and Ryan.
All right, so the Facebook group has been alive because of the Iowa incident. So it has been just a tumultuous time with Tor Swanson, friend of the show, wanting me to take my shirt off. Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, my shirt's on too, Tor. My pants, however.
Pants off, dance off, motherfucker.
Yeah, there's a big push this weekend. The Iowa incident is pretty fairly big tournament. I don't know how many people they have going. Rob and I were thinking about going, then Rob couldn't go, and then I was still thinking about going, and then real life decided that I was not allowed to go.
Nobody asked me if I wanted to go.
Because you
Randy,
would wait
do you want
and
to
say
go?
maybe.
Why can't I have a clinical Saturday?
And we'd get that answer.
I feel like the dick tease, you know, like the chick you take out, and you're like, yeah, baby, and I'm like, well, maybe, then no soup for you.
Yeah, I did.
No
however,
Iowa incident for us.
Yeah, it did, however, spark a conversation with my wife and I, and Rob and I had discussed it previously, that maybe sitting down, looking at our calendars for next year, and trying to get some things on the calendars, on the books now, so that we can plan for it quite a bit better. An Iowa incident is definitely on my radar for next year.
Mine too.
It's on my radar, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it, even though it's over a year out from this point in time. But it's just because of promises that I've made to the wife.
Yep, I hear that excuse a lot from you, Rob.
Dude, it's because it's exactly like I told Greg Strom on one of the posts or conversations I was having with him. I can't sleep with one eye open anymore, and I can't afford the hella divorce lawyer that I would need. So at this point in time, it is literally cheaper to keep her and healthier. And I really like my health as it is.
I like Randy. Had you noticed how his love for his wife didn't factor anywhere into that? It was all about him and how it was going to affect his life.
Because that love is unspoken, is unwritten, it is untethered, it is a phoenix.
Yeah, you're lucky your wife doesn't listen to this podcast. Yep. So, all right, to all of you that'll be at Iowa Incident, well, I hope you had a good time, because this won't come out till after that, probably.
The hell it won't. I have the power of the edit, motherfucker.
You will not edit this and upload it in a day.
We are looking at houses tomorrow. That will be that. I can't.
I stand by my original statement.
Damn it! I hate it when you're right, and you're right a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why hate fills my heart.
All right, so let's move on past the fun times that we are missing out. What did everybody do? Has anybody played any games? Anybody done anything recently? How's things going?
I did play some games.
Yeah.
Infinity.
Yeah?
Infinity. Did anybody play any Infinity games?
I played some Infinity games.
What?
What?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I did.
I want to ask, tell us about them, but I just know I'm just asking to get smacked here in a minute.
Probably. That's why you should have hate in your heart, Ryan.
I can't even keep a straight face for this. I was gonna see how long I could yank you around. I was actually thinking about like just making up a game, like how I just randomly showed up at some random store and I couldn't remember the name of it and blah blah, but it just didn't work.
Yeah, once again, you proved me right, Randy. Thank you.
Hey, you know what? I do it for the nookie.
Yeah, Rob, you haven't had many games in a while, have you?
No, the last event-ish thing that I ran was a demo for a couple of the local guys. If you remember back to one of the episodes, there was one of our colleagues at work who was injured playing basketball, and I left the quick start rules on his desk. as just kind of like the first taste, it's always free type thing. Well, that gentleman and another one of the colleagues that we work with, that Ryan and I work with, was able to come out and run a demo game, and the wheels started turning, and you could just see that the game mechanics, the dice mechanics, the fluff, the flavor was all really starting to simmer with him and the other colleague. And Ryan, you ran a game for Justin last night, I believe.
I did, but going back to our colleague that you were speaking about, what you missed was the fact that today I had to go down and help him with some stuff. And he showed me the Excel sheet he's put together on D20 rolling, right? God. So it has columns of 1 to 20 and rows from 1 to 6. And so the rows would be the number of dice you roll, and the columns from 1 to 20 would be the target number and under and the percentages. So obviously, if you were rolling any number of dice and needing a 20 or under, that column was 100%, right? So yeah, so he had showed me that. Now it doesn't factor in that you're rolling against your opponent, and it's only factoring in if you roll 3 dice and needing a 12, the chances of at least one of those being a success. But it was pretty funny because I was like, yep, and it was literally on top of an Excel sheet had other stuff about other work and whatnot on it.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't work with Ryan and I, which is like 99.9% of you, the person that we're talking about, we call him Dr. Three Names because he has 3 first names, and he's like a bioengineering doctor type guy that we work with. And yeah, we knew from the time that he gave one of his first presentations, Ryan and I were kind of talking about it, and I just knew. I was like, yep, he needs to play Infinity.
Yep. So he's played 1 demo game. I think the wheels are turning, so he needs a couple more in. Justin, on the other hand, the other co-workers had 3 demo games. Last night I ran him vanilla Pano versus an Onyx at just 150 points with just some different tools. So they've been playing like 4 Fusiliers, just going up and flipping some switches, simple kind of how to get the mechanics down lists. And so this one, I kept the flip switches scenario that we've kind of developed for new people, which essentially is we put three markers in the center of the table, 12 inches apart, and anybody can go up and roll a whip roll and flip that switch and take it. And then you can take it away from your opponent. The idea being at the end of the game, whoever has the most then gets the win, right? So it's not about killing people. It's kind of instilling them on them that there's stuff to do outside just killing. So last night we had 150 points, so I gave him like 4 Fusiliers with combi rifles, a Father Knight with Spitfire, a Order Sergeant with Spitfire, and then an Orc Trooper with just multi-rifle, and I made it the Lieutenant. So that is actually the first time they've had Lieutenant orders also. So I kind of introduced that piece to them. And so then we played through that. I actually took a Unidron with a plasma sniper rifle with the idea of setting up something that would be really challenging him because I would outrange him, so he's got to start thinking about other ways to solve that puzzle, which sounded like a great idea until it came time to roll, and I did not roll well, and he critted me on the first time he tried to shoot at it. So then I was on the back foot from then on, and he literally just steamrolled over what I was like, I can't do anything. He moved the Father Knight up, flipped the switch, got him in suppression fire, moved an Orc, got him in suppression fire. So it was really pretty humorous.
Yeah, that whole suppression fire, I took a break and left the office and went into the our little break room kitchenette thing. And Justin was in there, and he was really excited about playing the game. And I was like, remember, suppression fire, because that was one of the things that we had talked about in our demo game. He's like, yeah, suppression fire. And he got that like bloodlust look in his eye. I was like, oh shit, I've released the demon.
Yep. So after that game finished, because we finished that fairly early, I actually did play another game with another fairly new player who was actually switching over to military orders.
From the Hakislam.
Yeah, from Hakislam. So he'd kind of thrown together a list, and so I used my 350 point Unidron list. He chose to go first. So I had him set up first, and he made some mistakes at deployment. Now this time I had Justin, who were teaching, kind of hang out with me, and basically just kind of talk through some stuff about what I was doing and the plan and so on and so forth. But unfortunately for Casey, my setup was much to his chagrin, really dominated the place he needed to go. And I had tabled him at the end of turn 2, which was my turn, and had all of the objectives covered, and he didn't even get to drop his or do his Xenotech thing. So technically he was at -1 to my 10. But we talked quite a bit about what the mistakes were, some of the things he could correct, the list he was using, some of the things that I'm like, do you think about, do you really need this? What point is this model doing for you? He was running a 12 order military orders. Wow, that's kind of weird to say. List.
12 military order list.
Yeah. But the second
a military order with 12 orders?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
But his second pool had just the flash pulse bot and a machinist, right? So we discussed that. We're like, those two things are not going to really be using orders. So the second order pool, those two orders aren't going to do you any good until something dies in the first order pool and you can move those orders in, right? You're kind of wasting those two orders. And you're also allowing me as your opponent to strip 2 orders off of your main combat. So he started with 8 orders that were really viable in a 12 order list, which brings up, one of the things we talked about is, things should have a role when you're building a list. Even if it's just a cool looking model, you should think about what you're going to do with it and how that will play out. But I also told him, don't make major changes to your list. Like, play it again, make some tweaks, maybe move some stuff in order groups around, and then play it again and see how that works.
Yeah, and from what I'm gathering, his list was not a bad list. It was just the way that the groups in that list were organized.
Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't a bad list. It had 2 Santiago Knights and 3 Magister Knights, one of them with the missile launcher in a link team, which is a solid link team. It had 2 TO Camo Order Sergeant Ford Observers and a TO Camo Order Sergeant Sniper, 2 Fusiliers. One was a hacker, the other one was just a generic Fusilier. Now, as I've played military orders, I knew that his lieutenant was either the Fusilier, who was just a plain Fusilier, or the Santiago Knight with Spitfire. I calculated that it was the Santiago Knight with Spitfire, just because that's what I would have taken, considering his deployment. But the main thing was he had some of his Knights in that link team in the open that I could see from my deployment zone. So I set up the Unidron Plasma Sniper Rifle and the Unidron Missile Launcher, which are in 5-man links, that had line of sight onto at least one of those Knights, and in one case, 2 of those Knights. So if he activates that link team at all, I've got some hefty...
Yep.
Yeah, I have some hefty ARO pieces. Now, he also made the mistake because he moved forward to try to get in position, and he actually stepped in front and in line of sight of my total reaction bot. So his first order was moving those guys up, and I had Burst 2 Plasma Sniper Rifle, Burst 2 Missile Launcher, and a Burst 4 HMG. Now, granted, he only took 2 wounds total and nobody died, but he really got lucky.
And that brings up a really good point, because in the game that I was playing with Dr. Three Names and Justin, or demoing, I should say, one of the things that Connor, Dr. Three Names, brought up was the fact that he quickly caught on to the idea of multiple AROs, and I don't think deployment was ever really brought up until after the game. And it sounds like in the game that you and Casey had, that his deployment was a huge factor.
Yeah, I think deployment really can be. I think that's one of the things that new players really probably is part of the learning curve handicap, right? It's really learning, how do I deploy if I'm going first? How do I deploy if I'm going second? How do I deploy if I know that my opponent's probably going to have a sniper and I don't have a sniper tower, or I don't have good cover? So I think that's one of the things that really can, in some cases, predict how that first turn and even the game goes.
Yeah, and I think that also lends itself to the concept of the more games you play, the better off you are, because you have that experience base that you can draw upon of, okay, I know how this situation is going to go. To your point of, a sniper tower. With the first dice roll, with the whip roll of choosing deployment or choosing side, you can sometimes, if I don't have a sniper, I can look at the board and see that there is a perfect sniper nest on that side, whatever side it is. I'm going to take that, so that if my opponent has a sniper, I'm denying him that piece of terrain. But that's something that I've only learned by getting my teeth kicked in by a sniper in a sniper's nest at the, as a beautiful ARO.
Yeah, and I will say, so the train setup had a sniper's nest on both sides, right? I
Oh,
chose
nice.
the deployment side because it also had another rooftop that was close to the sniper's nest that I knew I could put the missile launcher, so I would have two very effective ARO presence pieces. They had good lines of sight, where if I would have picked the side that had KC deploy on, I would have really only had that one sniper's nest, which means the rest of the link team would have not been in good position. So that's really what I kind of chose and kind of looked at. And they were, when he deployed, he put a TO camo marker in where I would have referred to as the other sniper's nest. And so as I was talking through, I'm like, well, because I know the only TO camo that you're going to take in military orders is going to be Order Sergeant. And since that one's way up there, I'm assuming that's the Order Sergeant with multi-sniper rifle, which it was.
Yep.
And so he shot with it. I think he just put all of his dice against my sniper, which meant my missile launcher had free shot. I did kill him. He did do damage to the missile launcher, but I did the V-dogged, so it stayed there for that turn. But it really, popping that dude to try to take out my plasma sniper rifle was really something he probably needed to do or try to do before moving the link team, which we talked about a couple times throughout the game about, if you've done this, do this, that type of stuff, which I think is definitely part of this game, especially new people. You'll have experienced people that will literally talk you through. You move something up, you're like, really? I don't know if you really want to do that, and here's why. These are the options you are giving me.
Yeah, because it's not a killy game. While killing is an aspect of it, it is an objective-based game. And I think for a lot of people that may be listening for the first time, it's super important to realize that it's not you kick me in the junk, I kick you in the junk, and we see who's left standing. It's, okay, I need to get this thing. You're going to kick me in the junk, but can I get this thing done? And to that point, Randy, one of the games that we played, I think you and I were at like the bottom of turn 3, and I was like, all right, Baker, stay on mission. And it was your active turn, and you were like, oh yeah, I got to stop killing your dudes and get some shit done.
Yeah, sometimes you just forget that I can't remember the last time I played a game that's not Infinity, that's more objective based, where that's the primary goal and killing isn't what you're really doing. Like when you build a list, your list isn't built to kill. Your list should be built in how to do the missions of the tournament or the day or whatever you're trying to do. I think a lot of people listening might be coming from other game systems like 40K or Warhammer Fantasy or Age of Sigmar or where you're trying to kick somebody in the ding ding, and if you hold this marker you get points. Like, okay, that's to get the marker though, you have to kill everybody's shit, and if I table you then I win the game no matter what.
Right.
Infinity, if I table you, congratulations, I didn't get any objectives, I still lose.
Yeah, I actually, in the last tournament we had, the last one-day tournament we had, there was a game I was playing and things just were not going my way at all, to where I looked at it and I'm like, if I do this, I'm going to start my next turn in Lost Lieutenant. And so I literally just pushed, like I did a couple combined coordinated orders and moved people out there, just giving him all sorts of AROs and targets with the idea of hoping he kills me. And he literally needed to kill like one more thing, and I would have started in Lost Lieutenant, which would probably have made his win to either a draw or like a minor victory because he wouldn't have had time to do some other stuff. So it was really kind of funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. But and I did play a game last week using the same, or using a, was it the same? No, it was a different list against Zach, which is one of our local players we've talked about before. And I did what Rob was talking about earlier, is I had tools to do different things than what I chose to do, because I got blinded with trying to go on this Rambo run with my Q drone that I ended up having.
The infamous Q drone.
Yeah, he is pretty infamous. He did some work last night too. So, but I should have just taken, because Zach had a Salamandra, I should have just taken this M drone, who may have been the only AROs that Zach would have had at the time was just flash pulsing him. So even if he's blinded, he can still move, right? But he's going to move up and basically park on the other side of the building from this Salamandra, so that I can either then just start hacking through it, or I have the ARO set up there too. For when Zach moves it to hack, and I didn't. I got overzealous with trying to kill some stuff and move some things around. I deployed one of my guys, so he wasn't tucked up as well as I thought he was. So Zach had line of sight to a non-threatening ARO piece that was in the link team with 2 heavy machine guns, and so he was able to target that guy with a missile launcher, which caught my lieutenant in it, and the Rodoc survived. The lieutenant did not. So I started my second turn and lost a lieutenant. It was one of those things where it's like, yeah, I really need to play more because there was a much more tactically sound way to go about this than what I did.
So the take-home message is play more games.
I think that's pretty much always our take-home message, especially if you're Randy.
Oh,
Randy does
man,
not
Randy's a
play games.
fragile human being right now. He's under a lot of pressure. School.
Ugh, man. Stupid school.
School is another one of the many tools of the devil.
I think it really is.
Yeah. Rob, so have you done anything else besides your painting? You've been doing lots of painting.
I've been doing a lot of painting. Mr. Blue, Musashi, Miramata Musashi is coming along fine. And a commission has come my way of Game of Thrones models, which dollar bill, y'all, it rules the world. So
Yep. Yeah, I have actually stopped taking commissions for you so I could get this Onyx Contact Force done.
And dude, that orange rust really looks nice. I like the complementary colors of the blues and the yellows and the oranges. Sweet. Very alien.
Yeah, it started off as kind of a non-metallic metal copper, which so both of the Zeodrons were a little closer to what I was originally looking at. But then as I kind of started painting it and developing it, it's not as much non-metallic as I anticipated. I may go back in and adjust some of it at a later point, but right now I'm really just trying to get the 300-point list that I've been running done, which I will say I have 5 models left. 4 of those are the Unidrons, which are still needing to have some green stuff because, of course, I did not like the Unidron ponytails, and so I made them have tentacle heads. So I had to do some green stuff work there, but they need to get primed and get painted. But I'm still not set on the list that I've been playing with them.
So with that being said, I'm assuming that we've kind of moved into a hobby desk type segment.
It would appear that way.
Yeah, it does. It's very smooth transition, not like sandpaper.
Yeah, make sure we give Randy lots of time on this one because I'm sure he's got plenty to talk about here.
I've been painting up a storm.
Your basement?
You finish it?
No. Oh my god, when I finish that basement, it'll be amazing. No. I'm just sitting here listening to you guys talk about your wonderful projects. It's amazing. I'm jealous.
But soon
One day.
you too shall be one of us sitting at a hobby desk day after day after day. But Ryan, you said you're doing some green stuff. Walk us through how you are doing your green stuff and what it actually looks like.
All right, for those of you who don't know, green stuff is a 2-part epoxy. Is it resin? Is it a resin? I don't know. It's epoxy putty. It's just an epoxy putty, yeah. So you take, and it's the reason it's green stuff is because one part is blue, one part is yellow. You mix them together, and yellow and blue make green. For those of you who don't know, that's basic color.
And a Ziploc commercial from back in the 80s.
That is true. So what I had done, because again, I did not like the tentacle ponytail head, is I actually cut that part off and actually took a Dremel and drilled in, so there's a cavity in the back of that head. There's a company called Green Stuff World. Green Stuff World makes some really cool products.
So cool.
Yeah, but they make these tentacle rollers. And I'm trying to remember actually what they call them.
Rope.
But that's not what they call them. But anyways, it's basically these little plastic pieces that have just like a rough part to it, right? And you take a little roll of green stuff and you roll it out to it's like a little tiny tube, and then you put it on this, and then you roll these two pieces together, these two little plastic pieces together, and it puts these little grooves in the green stuff, and then that essentially makes it look like tentacles. Really simple, really cool thing. It comes in 3 different sizes, as in the size of the gaps between the tentacle pieces. It's like $15. The downside is they are not a US-based company, so if you're in the US or other world, it's not them. Shipping is a little slower, but totally worth it. It was easily worth the $15. I've actually talked to somebody else who was looking at, well, he actually is playing Onyx, and he and I were chatting, and he was like, yeah, I really like those, and I was like, yeah, I use this, and I sent him a link. He was like, I've seen those, I've never picked them up. I'm like, easily something you must have.
Yeah, the reason I called it a rope roller is I ordered something very similar, probably the beta testing of this product, that was a rope maker, and I looked up on online, and it is the roll maker tentacle tool set, and it comes in 2 different sizes, which is the thing that I'm very interested in. Is there's the normal size, and then there's the XL size.
Yep. Yeah, I actually have it here now too. Yep, the roll maker set. Tube and wire machine is what I have on mine. I have the regular size. Now, I actually borrowed the ones that Rob had, which I think you got from a Kickstarter, if I'm not mistaken, Rob.
No, I actually ordered it from a German company.
All right. So, anyways, I used the one that Rob had, and like literally used them one night and was like, yep, these are great. Returned them to Rob. Saw them in my hobby store that earlier that weekend. Went back on to Monday and they were gone. So I had them order me a set. Now the new ones actually have a guide. They're a lot better than, well, they're not a lot better. The tool wise is the same. It's got some extra pieces that make it a lot easier to use. YouTube, if you YouTube Green Stuff World, they've got videos of how to use it. Really shows you what's going on. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Green Stuff World. I've reached out to them, but they have not contacted me back about, trying to get us some things for the peoples. But if you do have the chance, or you have a local game store that can order from them, their stuff is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I do suggest if you have some time, just get on their YouTube channel, look at what they have, because they have some other rollers for making like base textures that have a lot of other uses too. Most of them deal with green stuff, right? But they have a bunch of other tools they have. So it's just a good project or product to look at.
Yeah, because James Wapple, who is, if you are into the hobby scene, is a gentleman out of the Chicagoland area who is amazing with the work that he does, and he uses the Green Stuff World textured roller pins in a lot of his stuff, and I use them for my bases. It's amazing with what you can do with this stuff, with Sculpey or green stuff or just any type of polymer clay. It's amazing.
Yep. And speaking of James Wapple, so he helped sponsor a tournament that Rob and I had back in the fantasy days, because I had been talking to him for a while. He did a Kickstarter. He does a painting technique that I've actually been adopting on my current Onyx Force. It's called the shaded base coat, and it's really quite interesting on how it works. So I have several of his tutorial videos, and you watch him and he looks like he's just throwing paint, and it's like, oh, and then like all of a sudden you just see it's like it switches, and then you're like, oh my god, that's really cool. It all just comes together. Now, seeing it done, doing it are two different things. And
getting through the video is a third different thing. Because
I will say his voice does lull me into like a sleep coma. I cannot watch them before I go to bed because I will just start dozing off.
Yeah, and for me, I would watch them. The wife would be, watching TV or doing whatever, she's doing. And I'll have my headphones on and I'll be watching the video and I'll be like, I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything. And then like Ryan's just said, there will be a switch and you'll be like, son of a bitch, how did that happen? And then you go back and you watch the same video over and over and over. And then to Ryan's point of doing it, I'm a blind monkey with a pencil in my mouth.
Yeah, the style he's using is actually more of an artist canvas painting style, which actually fits more into how I was trained in painting, which is what I really like. But it's really quite interesting to see it done on a miniature, because I think so many people are used to, you paint a layer, it dries, you paint the next layer, it dries, you paint the next layer, it dries, or you're painting one color here, and then taking another brush and blending those together, right? So it's just kind of a little different technique. The thing that I have liked about it with this is I've actually gotten to be relatively fast on getting a lot of the base coat, a lot of the base shading, a lot of those pieces done, which actually makes me look like I'm further along than I am, which actually gets me motivated to keep going. But I can actually now, after priming a model, I can sit down and have one just sitting on the couch painting while my wife is doing her grading because she's a teacher, and in 2 days I could kick out a model to where I'm happy with it.
Compared to how long when you first started doing your Onyx Contact Force?
Well, the Zeotrons were first, so they're bigger models, but for me to get that and really working with that, because also it was a new style that I was using with the non-metallic metals, it took me lots and lots of hours. I did have somebody reach out and asked if they could use that color scheme at that time and asked me if I would even be willing to pay, or willing to paint for them, and I told him, I was like, I wouldn't even know how to begin to price it because it took so long. You wouldn't want to pay my rate for the actual time that it put in. Or I did it at a normal miniature painting rate, and I would making like 15 cents an hour.
Starving artist for a reason.
Yeah, that's why I am not a professional artist, because I would prefer to eat.
Something other than ramen?
I still really like ramen. Both the actual ramen where you go to the ramen places that actually have real ramen, I love that. But I still do really like the instant ramen.
You're so odd.
How do you not like instant ramen? It's just so good. I just really enjoy it.
It's not bad. I mean,
You had fish sticks today for lunch.
Damn, Skippy, I had fish sticks, Costco fish sticks, and they were amazing with ketchup. And yes, I am a sick individual.
What you had? Oh, with ketchup even. Yeah, and
it was
and I'm the
awesome.
weird one for having ramen. Oh yeah,
Oh yeah. Randy, what did you have for lunch and or breakfast?
I had let's see, I got off of work this morning, so I had nothing for breakfast, and then I had hummus for lunch.
Hummus among us.
And then I had a BLT for dinner.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's pretty much it.
All right. Hobby-wise, Randy, have you thought any more about what army you may be wanting to look at?
Have you seen anything that is a cinematic pose with a flowing cape?
I mean, I'm doing the pose right now in my robe with my shirt off. I think I look hot.
Yeah, but you're not a miniature.
What I'm saying is, if anybody from CB is listening, that they could make me into one. I
would
be
totally
a
see that
skinny Yan-Yan.
No, I would totally see that in the TAC army, the Russian mobster connection.
Oh,
that-
yeah.
that-
I was thinking HVT.
All I'm missing right now is a gold chain, and I'd be ready for the Russian mafia. I'm the machine.
The machine.
Oh, speaking of which, those of you who went to Iowa, hopefully my package was delivered. That's right, you heard me. And my wife literally just walked in as I said that line.
Of course you did. Hi, Laura.
She said she doesn't listen to me. So hold on a second.
Now that's
She said
marriage
something
right there.
before.
That is true marriage. So for all that people that watch like This Is Us, your wives are watching that crap. That's marriage. They walk in the room like whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I called my wife on something today. I was like, "You weren't listening to me at all. I told you this thing and this other thing." And she's like, "Oh yeah. I guess I do remember that."
Yeah, so my wife just came in with pointing at a post-it note that literally just said Philip said, and I don't know who this Philip is, but seriously.
Seriously,
she
we
give
need
me
to
a
find this guy.
God damn it. Now, so anyways, what were we saying prior to that? Oh, the machine.
The machine.
I sent a bottle of whiskey from a local distillery here in Kansas City called Tom's Town, and it is actually called The Machine. So hopefully when that gets delivered to them, they will all appreciate the Kansas City whiskey and hopefully get the joke of it being The Machine.
I also contributed a 6-pack and a Mocan Infinity Patch to the beer exchange, liquor exchange, drinking extravaganza that is Iowa.
And I also contributed my sense of humor and my winning personality.
Winning!
You're welcome.
Did you say winning or witty?
Both. What does it matter? Words.
Word, Rob, my job is words. They do
I know.
matter.
I type
Google
those words.
find winning.
I'm gonna say this nothing. I don't got it.
Alexa,
Uh-huh.
what is winning?
My Alexa can't hear you.
You're
Yeah, 'cause
welcome.
I've got headphones on, so my Alexa can't hear you.
All right, so Rob, besides Mr. Blue, what do you have coming up on your hobby desk?
Well, I did just get all the replacement parts for my Tanko Force and my Aleph Thurakatai box sets. So I'm going to be working on those in the near future because I'm pretty stoked about both of those.
So with your Tanko, are you doing JSA? Are you doing Akari? What are you looking at?
Yes.
I will say that I do have an Akari force assembled. Well, I did, right? And then there was an update to Army, and the Akari lost the Drew's lieutenant. So I had to make a lieutenant swap, which then gave me 8 additional points to use. So I might have added a 4th Yan Yan to my Akari company.
There's nothing wrong with a 4th Yan Yan.
Yeah, we'll see how effective it is.
And I'm not going to say that I have an Akari list that is titled Shoots and Giggles.
Oh no, my Akari list is 100% just, I have these models, I kind of want to see what these guys do, and this kind of sounds kind of funny.
Yeah, when I'm looking at the Akari, that's what I see is a lot of funny things that I like this and I like this. Oh, and I can take this Fugazi bot, and oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I really like the, Hakazan was it? Oh god, now I'm going to lose the name. The Azrael, what is it? That's not it. Hold on, pulling up Army. Hold.
The Alpha Seed?
Yeah, the Alpha Seed. I like that model with the HMG. I like its profile. So I have that. And a Daiokai with Red Fury. So I have a 53-point model and a 49-point model that are basically the backbone of my Akari list, that everything else was built around those 2 models.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about painting the Tonkos. I'm having a lot of fun with Mr. Blue and the Shinto shrines that are on his back panels that are fading into the sunset or the sunrise. as the JSA kind of have that theme of the rising sun again.
So you have a list with Musashi in it then?
Actually, I don't. I just kind of had the pair of Musashis that I bought on a whim because I like the models. The first model that I painted was the one with the hat because the Japanese secession army has all the hats, and I like that Big Trouble in Little China feel. And I look at it from the point of view of that's a really nice flat surface that you can do some really nice freehand on. And same thing with this Musashi is those back plates or the back, I don't know, loin cloths. I don't know what the words are, but they were a nice flat surface that I could just see a sunset or sunrise going on, and the Shinto shrines, and little Google art search, and I was in business.
Yep. I mean, some of it, like the Daiokai, I really like the model. The Hasid, I really like the model. So I mean, that really was part of what even drove me to using them, because I was like, I can take both those guys. I'm not in any hurry to start them, because for those of you who have been not paying attention, there is some changes in the works in the Infinity world.
You're such a tease.
Oh yeah.
No, but it is true. There are some changes in the works, and with the release of the JSA and the Daiokai, you've got that Silver Samurai big mecha robot that just looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish that there was more than AVA 1, just because I really think it'd be cool to see 2 or 3 of them just stomping along. I mean, I definitely would buy more than one if it was available.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So do we want to talk a little bit about the stuff that's happening in the Infinity world now?
We can talk about it now, or we can take a break and have a little musical epilogue.
Randy, how you feeling? You feeling Randy?
Let's do it.
Do what? Take a break? Continue talking?
All the above.
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a quick pause, because I am actually out of drink, and then come right back.
All right. Check you after the break.
All right, we've taken a little break. I refreshed my beverage. Rob, did you refresh your beverage?
No, I've been doing that while you've been, talking, because my beer fridge...
Why did that sound like your question? Like, I don't know what you were doing. I think you were, I don't know, talking? I don't know, what is that?
Talking, something. No, my beer fridge is literally like 6 feet away from me, and I've got wireless headphones. So as long as I can understand and hear that people are talking, like when you and Randy were talking, I just grabbed another beer.
What are you drinking at this show?
I am drinking the Hefeweizen by KC Beer Company.
That's what you sent up, isn't it?
That is a wonderful Bavarian-style wheat ale, reminiscent of my time in the Deutschland when I was stationed overseas. And I wanted to share that with the people that are going to the Iowa incident.
Now, but that is a KC company, right? That's producing the one you're currently drinking that you sent up.
That is correct. Their label has the J.C. Nichols fountains. It has the plaza in the background. It has the, as I'm looking at it, it has the plaza. So it's all sorts of KC.
Ah, cool. I am not drinking a KC beverage right now.
You know, and if anybody from Corvus Belli is listening, Seville, Spain is the model for the KC Plaza. Little trivia.
It is. I'm drinking a little Austin East Ciders. I found a sampler pack of theirs, and so I started off with a pineapple cider.
I saw that. Do you like it?
Yeah, right now I'm on the ruby red grapefruit. It's definitely a change in the palate when you switch from pineapple to ruby red grapefruit. Yeah, I do like them. They're not my go-to, right? My go-to is still going to be Gumption. It's still my favorite. But I do like these as a mix. I think these would be much better summertime. Right?
Yes.
Because it's got definitely different tastes. But I do like them.
Blood orange, and I thought that was absolutely delicious. But you're 100% right. It needs to be 105 degrees outside with relative humidity of 90.
Yeah, the blood orange is in this sampler pack too, and along with I want to say it's their dry or super dry. I can't remember which one it is.
Yeah.
But I'll only have like one or two of those just because the pucker is a little stronger there.
And talking about the pucker, the changes that are going on with the third offense. Oh my.
Yeah, but it makes you pucker for a whole better reason.
Yeah, not the mouth, the other operating end of that digestive tract.
Yeah, so for those of you that are new to Infinity, all of the books that have come out and have been basically what's been happening, like what has happened in the history of the Infinity Universe. Now, we got to the last book, whose name totally Uprising. Thank you.
Uprising. I was getting ready to save you.
I was like, I totally just lost it. Uprising came out, and that actually brought us into the current time zone, right? So now there's a new book. They just teased. It's on pre-order now. Go to your local gaming store, pre-order it, because if you pre-order Infinity stuff, they're big things. It's always going to come. Well, I'm going to say always, but it has always come with a special release model. This one is called The Third Offensive.
Yep. To Ryan's point, they are adapting the storyline to things that have been going on in the human sphere. And with the whole bit and kiss aspect of Bit and Kiss, I forget the other Chuckleheads names that were part of the Alive group.
It was the Alive group, yeah, we just called that.
Right. But when they were caught and tried and summarily executed and rescued by...
They weren't summarily executed, right? That's still
they
propaganda.
Put on a prison ship and it was blown out of the sky.
Fake news, Rob. Fake news.
What was
Pano
your first faction that you played? Oh, that's right, Pano. Oh, yeah, whatever. But for those of you that are just tuning in, it's been a storyline arc that has led to this point in time. And from what I understand, this is happening around Paradiso, and it is the third offensive. Whose third offensive? I don't know. But what we do know, to Ryan's point,
we do know that it is actually the third offensive of the combined army, right? The first offensive was the outer rims of Paradiso. The second was the inner. Were moved, so basically it's just moving in. They did leak that in one of Corvus Belli's YouTube videos during their third offensive week. Which I also did you notice that it was Corvus Belli's Infinity Week, not Beasts of War's Infinity Week.
I did notice that, and all the videos were actually done in studio.
Yeah, they were done by Bolstria himself. They didn't have the Beast of War guys. It was just him. I don't know what that means. Was there a split in relationship there?
I doubt it. I think that it's more of they want to retain the control of it. At least if... From my perspective, that's what I would want to do if I was the company, right? I don't want to have to send someone to the Beast of War studio or have someone from the Beast of War studio come to me and try to align those schedules. I want to be able to do it when I want to do it. At least that's what I would do.
Yeah, but it does make you wonder, because every summer they have done a global campaign. It has been run through the Beasts of War's global campaign system, so it makes you wonder, will we see that next summer? I think we'll see a global campaign, but will it be a global campaign run by Beast of War?
That's a really good paradigm shift to propose, for the simple fact that Beast of War has a following unto its own, and I think Corvus Belli would want to maintain their product line.
You don't really know. Yeah, I mean, again, we're kind of speculating. Thought. We'll just see what happens.
But what we do know is from one of the videos that the exclusive model that comes with the book, Third Offensive, if you are any faction other than Pano, you can take that model with your army.
Yeah, well, let's just talk about a little bit of the videos, right? They've had a Pano video. In it, we saw some glimpses of the new sectorial of Varuna, which we knew was coming out. They've announced that that's not something new, right? With that, they've also had, I'm going to say, discontinuation of the Shark Army line. Not the Shark Army, the producing of the models. Now, they did this with Merovingia. They've done this with the Shazvasti, kind of. I mean, they're way older models. They haven't discontinued them officially.
Right. They've just managed the SKUs. They've taken them out of their catalog so that it makes them harder to get for a new player.
Yeah. But I think what it really needs to look at is this sent some ripples, right? When Merovingia got announced, when Shock Army, it sent some ripples and people freaking out, right? Because this is the armies they love, yada, yada, yada. Now, Corvus Belli has still updated those rules. In both those announcements, they've given those armies, the sectorial, something new. But if you think about it, as a company continues to grow and their product line continues to grow, at some point becomes unwieldy. Like, you just can't manage the number of SKUs. Now, when we say SKUs, it means SKU. It's the little barcode that you scanned. It tells you what model goes with what. Like, when you're, that's just the technical term is your SKU, right?
And with that
it's just
being
inventory
said,
management, right?
Well, yes, inventory management, and it's also very hard for a small local game store to dedicate the shelf space for the massive number of SKUs that they used to have, which is why, as a new player, you may see a single blister pack that has a model that's also in a double box set or a double blister pack, because they have repackaged a lot of those single blisters into double blisters.
Yep, which business-wise it makes sense, right? I would understand, especially if you have models that are on the lower selling end. You're not getting rid of it. You're not making them. Let's just face it. There are some other companies that have just discontinued armies, which means the entire collection you'll have null and void.
Squats! Oh, man.
Yeah, I didn't. Was that something in your throat?
Dust. Yeah,
something?
so much dust up in here. Squats!
Or, I mean, even just maybe, I don't know, blew up the world you were playing in.
Oh, which is how we landed it in Infinity.
Yeah, but we got to Infinity, so good on you. But I think it's smart. Again, they're not getting rid of it. They're not getting rid of the armies and sectorials. If you all your favorite sectorials, great. I would imagine we're going to see a cycling. You'll see some new stuff come out, some old stuff go away. They've already done that with the 300-point boxes. They've stated they're only going to make 2 at a time. So they'll introduce one and pull the oldest one off. Then they'll introduce the next one and pull the oldest one off. So there'll only ever be 2 in production at a time. That makes sense to me.
And not only from a production and business point does it make sense, but from my point of view, it also makes sense from a storyline, because now we don't know what's going on with this third offensive. Completely possible that a combined army smashes the Merovingian force in Dawn. And
you mean Shock Army?
Well, no, in Dawn, Merovingians.
Oh, but that was earlier. Didn't they already do that?
Well, we don't
in the
know.
Uprising, wasn't that part of Uprising?
That was part of Uprising, but it was, part of the storyline that goes along with the third offensive, because we don't know what is going to be revealed. There could have been an Aleph cover-up. There could have been a Eugene cover-up. There could have been any number of cover-ups.
It was totally Eugene.
I'd buy that for $1.
Actually, more than likely, it was Aleph. Those guys are sons of bitches, and
they are sons of bitches.
They're not even.
I love them.
Yeah. But anyways, I think, we know that they're going to be a Varuna, right? We know this come out. Aleph's OSS and Ariadne's TAC came out already, but they're going to be part of this book. But we also, Invincible Army, New Eugene is going to come out.
Eugene.
And we weren't thinking we were going to get that until January of next year. So November is going to hit. Now, I don't think we'll see models until January of next year.
No, but we can see the rules, and that is tantalizing enough, because there is enough Eugene model stuff catalog out there that if a person wanted to buy the existing catalog models, they could proxy with Corvus Belli's rules those models that they want to be proxied.
Yep. I'm pretty excited about it because there's a lot of cool new things. I've always been excited about the Invincible Army idea. However, I did start at Military Orders, so it's very similar in concept.
Heavy armored dudes.
Yeah, heavy armored dudes. It's one of the things that I really like. This semi-robotic, armored, mechanized combat troop. Futuristic dudes. Kind of what brought me to Infinity. Is one of the reasons why Ariadne is not one of my favorite groups, because they don't have that. They just look like fighters.
They look like modern, 21st century fighter dudes.
Yep, they do. Now, I say that, but I do have an Ariadne army that will probably be arriving on my doorstep. Through a trades from the other models from a different other game I'm just sitting on my shelf. But he was like, "You want to trade for this or Infinity stuff?" I'm like, "Hello."
Yeah, that's how I wound up with a whole Hakkaslam army.
Yeah, I still have a bunch of Hakkaslam. But anyway, so that'll be interesting. They've shown some of the previews of some of the new army or some of the new army entry forms for Invincible Army. Some really cool stuff, but I like to see the whole list together. But what is also a really interesting piece is there are several sectorials that are getting updates. Military Orders is getting an update.
Yep, more rats.
More rats are getting an update. There's some interesting stuff because we've been given the basically like the AVA and the fire team options, right? So for example, in military orders, the Black Friars now have fire team special. We don't know what that is, but Black Friars are literally one of my favorite pieces in the military orders. I really like that, not only the model, but the idea and the way it functions on the battlefield. He became an auto-include once they kind of came out. But now if, as I dream, he could be in a fire team with order sergeants or do whatever. And that sounds kind of cool. Military orders also, according to that, lost Fusiliers, which is interesting because that means unless the order sergeants get a lieutenant option, which it does sound kind of weird to have an order sergeant lieutenant, but who knows?
Also, weren't the Fusiliers like an AVA total for military orders? No,
nope, they were AVA 3, where the order sergeants were AVA total.
So that would make sense if they changed that.
Yeah, I'm not sad about them, but I will say there are multiple military order builds I had that had a 10-point Fusilier lieutenant who just stood in the back, right? I will say fluff-wise, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to have a Father Knight running around, but the Fusilier dude in the back is actually running the show. But
I saw that always as a Butterbar lieutenant from, ROTC that never knew anything, and they were like, "Here you go, son, you're going with these guys," and just a whole bunch of hardened, battled troops of, "Sir, sit here, we got this."
Yep, I mean, you could totally explain it that way. If they gave Order Sergeant and Lieutenant option, it would be cool. I think that would actually help some of the builds. There are several things I wanted them to change with the Order Sergeants, but I'm not going to speculate on what that may be because I really have no idea. Morats got the same kind of treatment. They have some additional fire team options, but they also, according to that little chart, lost Bit and Kiss, which...
Yeah, which I found very interesting.
Yeah, so I'm torn, right? Because Bit and Kiss are a very effective killer hacker. And in Morats, they are very good at 19 points, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
But Morats are really all Morats. Like the Morat sectorial is pretty much all Morat. So, and some drones and some stuff like that, right? But, so to me, it makes sense to not have them. But they're a really good killer hacker. And a pitcher. So if we get a Zerat killer hacker that maybe has a pitcher, that can replace the same role that Bit and Kiss were doing, I think fluff-wise, Bit and Kiss not being in there makes more sense than them to be included in a Morat sectorial. I'm interested to see what they do because there'll be several wild card models now. So that's models that can be in any sectorial. The military orders are supposed to have them. I think Morats are supposed to have them with a couple models, or at least one model. So you could really do some interesting stuff with that. Just a matter of seeing what people decide to do. My problem that I'm currently having with the third offensive is my plan, as many of you listeners have known, was to do Morats this year. This will be the year of the Morats, and that's where I started. However,
year of the monkey.
Yeah. However, I switched to Onyx, and so I've been doing that. But I'm like, all right, well, now Morats are getting updates, so I may be looking back into them because as I've been playing Onyx, I really feel that the Morats are probably more along my playstyle than Onyx is, so it may pull me back in there. But Military Orders was the first army that I played, so they're getting an update to the sectorial. Well, shoot, now I'm going to want to look at that. But as I stated earlier, the Invincible Army has been on my radar for over a year now. And they're in this book also. So I now have my current Onyx list and one new sectorial and 2 existing ones that I have models for that are all being updated in the same book. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do here.
I think what you have just described in almost excruciating detail is what most people call hobby wobble.
Yep, it is definitely the hobby wobble. Because, did I mention earlier in the podcast that I have a 300-point Era Curry army that I have assembled?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Okay, just making sure I got that out there. Yeah, it's I did actually put on the big point pants and got rid of all the JSA I had because I was like, I'm going to do this. Now, outside of the stuff that I could use in Akari, but
right.
I got rid of a bunch of them because I'm like, look, I do like this. I want to do these guys. But, I mean, back in my fantasy days, I had a large collection of lizardmen, right? Because I wanted to build this lizardmen army. And I would just, hey, somebody's like, hey, I'm getting out. I have this. All right, I'll take those. Hey, I've got this stuff. I want to trade for this. Okay, I'll take those. And so I had a very significant amount of lizardmen stuff. But when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, Vampire counts for my first army ever. Ogre Kingdoms are my favorite army. And Beastmen have my favorite models. So when I have time to do hobby stuff, I'm working on typically ogres or beastmen, and I've found myself really at this stage going, look, I just focus on what you've got. Just get rid of what you're playing. Don't jump as much. If I get stuff in a trade, then I'll just kind of do it that way. Just keep it on there. But I'm really trying to get the 300 points. I'm trying to get 2 300-point Onyx armies done for how I want to play them. And I mean by done, I mean painted. They're done. They're complete. And then I will probably then look to start building onto the Morat side of that.
Yeah, I'm very curious about the third offensive and how the storyline of the removal of Bit and Kiss will be addressed, or if it will not be addressed at all.
I can see it not being addressed, right? Because you don't really need to justify why Bit and Kiss aren't in the Morats or why Fusiliers aren't in the military orders, right? It's not going to be, let's just look at it this way. You know, when JSA was no longer in Eugene and went to the non-aligned armies, yeah, you probably needed to have a story about that, right? That's a big deal. But removing this is no longer available to the sectorial, okay, whatever.
Okay, and that is a fair point of view to have. In my point of view, I was looking at it that resources are allocated to this Morat aggression force. We are not going to allow Bit and Kiss to be part of this because their expertise is needed over here on this third front. That's the storyline that I was kind of brewing in my mind. Whereas the same thing with the military orders, the Fusiliers are too valuable. You guys are going to have to start figuring out things for yourself. You're now a lieutenant. Boop. Done.
Really? So now that we're on this little tangent, so Morats with Bit and Kiss, my thought process is she would not listen to them. They would not listen to her, right? The only thing that I can think of off the top of my head that's not a Morat in the Morat army is the Predas and the Gakis, right? But they're only there because the Morats have a chick who went in and ate their leader and put on his skull as his hat, and they're following her around.
Behold, I am your leader. I have his head for a hat.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that's kind of the story. That's how they get there. So to me, it makes more sense to Morats like, we don't need this human.
Post-human?
She's not a post-human.
I know she's not post-human, but she's post-human.
She is either, and then here's another side story tangent. So is she sepsarized human, or did she willingly go with the combined army?
Ooh, I think she willingly went with them. Because
so do I. I do too, because she saw Pano.
She saw the truth.
Allegedly attack the caravan that were holding her friends. Right. Their whole alive idea was equality and stuff like that, and that's essentially what the EI is preaching. Right. So I think she voluntarily went over and was like, "No, you guys saved me, pulled me out. I'm going to do this stuff now."
Yep, I know it from the inside.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy.
Does, give a nice segue to the video or the picture that was released online of the Kodali that had the Rachio art in the back or the silhouette in the back, where it's like, "Behold, I am your doom."
Yeah,
that's going to be tasty.
Yeah. Although I really think that I didn't really like, and you and I talked about this at work, I didn't really like that one because I think that the combined army does not look like it. They don't look on themselves as conquerors. I think the combined army, the EI, looks at themselves as liberators.
I was just thinking that, and it may be because we had this conversation and I have been drinking, but I think that is how they see themselves. We are going to bring you to the Enlightenment.
Yep. I think they're like, you will come with us. We know what is better. You're going to do what we say. Now, granted, whether or not I don't think they perceive themselves as the evil faction, which is how they are presented in the Infinity world. I definitely don't think we are the conquerors. I think they definitely say we are liberating everyone from all of your strife.
Well, not only that, but also think about it from the point of view that Aleph is the big brother that is controlling the news, the media, the government, whatever you want to consider as that big brother entity. That is directly opposed or diametrically opposed to the EI.
So you're saying that Aleph is the real bad guy? Yep, I agree with you, Rob.
Oh yeah, this is the first time that I've ever been, part of a bad army, and it's badass.
Oh, all right. So I think we've probably gone on this rabbit hole a little bit. I'm really excited about the Third Offensive. It'll come out. It'll come out at the end of November. It'll be really exciting to see what it does to the game and the world and the storyline, the meta of your local area. It will mix things up a little bit, which is kind of what they do with the ITS seasons every year.
Well, so that's one of the things that Carlos talked about at the Adepticon seminar that I attended this year, in that they, as air quotes with Corvus Belli in the middle of it, they view Joe Q Gamer as someone that has multiple Kickstarters, they have multiple game systems, and they want to engage Joe Q Gamer in the game that is alive. They want to engage that person because if they know that the storyline is something that they can take care of, that they can participate with, that they can have an impact with, then it's something that they want to participate in. And to me, the Third Offensive with the storyline that is getting ready to become canon, that adds to that flavor.
You know what I think would be an interesting statistic, and I don't know if we could ever get to. I mean, we're not a big enough podcast, and Corvus Belli cares less about us now. The increase in ITS subscribers for the last year over year, right? I just want to know how many more people are playing their game. It's got to have been increased. We've seen an increase in our local meta. We've seen an increase in the national meta that we are involved in, right? So I'm really interested to see what not only their new member rate is, but then also their loss, right? Because I do think, and you and I have discussed this a little bit, I think Corvus Belli gets a lot of new players. I don't think they get as many to stick as a lot of other companies.
No, and I agree with that. And I think the reason that people don't stick with the game is you've got to overcome that 6 month to 9 month, if not longer, hump of getting your teeth smashed in as you learn the tricks of the game.
Yeah, and I think people coming from other game systems are going to like, okay, this is the newest army. This is the coolest build. I'm going to play that. Works for collectible card games, works for a lot of other miniature games. And they're just going to go out there and like, oh yeah, this is going to be the easy button. I'm just going to push it forward, get it to combat, and win, right? And you don't have that here. And so I think that's really detrimental to some new gamers who may be really good, who may really enjoy the game. They just get tired of losing, which I totally get.
Oh, yeah. Nobody likes to lose. Nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, oh, it's going to be a great day. I can't wait to fail. Nobody on the planet does that. And because, Corvus Belli has a solid game system and a balanced rule set, it makes it so that, again, you are rewarded for playing more games. And that is a foreign concept. It doesn't matter what, the list build is. It matters how you play that list.
Yeah. I mean, I think our biggest takeaway here is if you're new and you're getting your teeth kicked in, hopefully your local gaming group is skilled enough to help kind of talk you through, kind of like, okay, well, you're using this model to do this, but this model in the faction is probably more equipped to do the way you want to play, or the model you're using that you really like is better doing X, Y, or Z, right? And kind of help talking you through those things and working with you on that stuff, or even maybe playing a turn and then like, okay, let's reset, let's walk it back here, right? And kind of helping your new players grow and develop. But people are still going to lose. You're definitely going to lose when you start off for a while, outside of dice mechanics just really screwing with your opponent who's more experienced, because there'd be nuances and things you're not paying attention to that they're going to be hyper aware of. But I really think if you stick it out and play consistently for the first, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, your learning curve, although steep, once you hit the top of that, will be really, really rewarding.
No, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I think that that's where the beauty of social media comes in, is because today, one of our local players, Clayton Beast, posted to the personal flash paper something that I would have expected him to put into our local Kansas City Infinity page. And I've seen the feedback on that, thread of, here's my Aleph, OSS group.
Yeah, I was going to
Here's
ask you,
what
are
I'm gonna do.
you talking about the list one? Yeah.
Yeah, but I see that, this is very much a social game where not only are you playing your opponent, but you are interacting with your opponent. And because of that dynamic, it is a different animal. It is a different, beast all unto its own in the golden age of miniature games.
Yeah, I think that is one of the really exciting things about the time we are in, but also one of the negative things about the time we were in. There's a lot of really cool miniature games out there, so your local area has tons of pockets of people playing, 6 to 12 people playing a game, right? You don't have the old days where it was like, hey, I'm playing Warhammer 40K, I'm playing Warhammer Fantasy, I'm playing Flames of War. And those were like the big bad boys at the time, right? Those were the three big, well-known games that everybody was playing.
Yep, the big three.
Yeah, you could go to your local game store, somebody's going to have their army up there for the game that I'm playing. But you just don't have that.
Nope. And, kudos to you if you want to play Infinity. Kudos to you if you don't want to play Infinity. That's totally cool. Because there are games out there for you to play. No one is playing the perfect game because everyone would be playing that game if it was perfect.
Well, and, things about it, different pieces attract different people. For example, I was a big fantasy guy, but obviously Infinity is not a fantasy game. But I didn't like any of the fantasy game options I had at the time. So this fit, and I've really stuck with it, and I really liked it. If a new fantasy game comes out, will I be distracted by it? Probably, but I probably won't really get into it as much anymore, because as I've grown up, I'm like, okay, look, I know I don't want to drop $300 on a new game right now. I don't have dollars, right, with 2 kids in college and another one going to college here in 6 years. Yeah. And not only that, I don't have the time to paint a whole new army, and I don't have the mental capacity with what you and I do for work to learn another game system.
No, that is very true. I mean, one of the things that we play games for, as we delve down a different rabbit hole altogether, one of the reasons why we play games is to escape the reality. And so I honestly think that the Third Offensive, with the way that they're advancing their storyline without, blowing up a world, is paramount to energizing their fan base. And if you are a new player and you are listening to this podcast for the first time, this is such a good thing. So while, Bit and Kiss, if you're looking at Morats and have already purchased a Bit and Kiss model, that's totally cool. Hang on to it, paint it. It will probably recycle itself into some iteration. But the fact that Corvus Belli is investing in the storyline, kudos to you guys.
Yeah, you think about it. I mean, according to Corvus Belli's proxy rules, you can legally proxy any one of their models for any other one of their models as long as you're clear. Right.
Correctamundo.
So it is possible you could grab all of the different pieces. I think it actually came up in a conversation on, I don't remember if it was the PFP website or our MoCan website or MoCan Facebook group that was like, hey, I'd like to take some other models from other groups and proxy them as stuff. So it would look like a combined force of Aleph and military orders going against combined, right?
Do it.
Yep. So, I mean, just as long as you're not, don't throw down a tag and say, oh, yeah, this is a Fusilier, or don't throw down a Fusilier, like, oh, yeah, this is representing a tag. I mean, base sizes need to be accurate.
Matches the same silhouette size, I would say that you're totally good. As long as you are clear with your opponent from the very beginning, this is my dude X, and you stay with dude X, not, go halfway through the game and be like, oh no, that's not dude X, that's dude 2.
Yeah, I think if I were to proxy stuff, right, I would probably be very clear with what it is, or make sure that it at least has the same weapon, so my opponent can look at him and go, oh, that's a missile launcher. That dude has a missile launcher.
Nope, that's fair.
So Rob, let's let's move on and talk a little bit about the rule of the episode.
Right on, right on, right on.
All right, so we wanted to kind of cover camouflage. Camouflage is actually a very, let's just say it's a simple, complex rule that is in abundance in some sectorials or some army lists. For example, Ariadna has a ton of it. Military orders does not. So, yes?
Oh, I was just thinking that simple, complex rule
Well,
is
I mean,
making me laugh.
Yeah, well, because it is, right? So it's simple because the idea behind it is like, oh yeah, so you have camouflage. So you have camouflage level 1, which is mimetism. Camouflage level 2, which is camouflage. Creative name there. Camouflage level 3, which is TO camouflage. Then level X, which is ambush camouflage. And level Y, which is limited camouflage, right? So there are, 5 different versions of camo.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. Well, they went to X and Y, so it's not. And so it seems like there's a lot to it. But once you figure out, they all work the same in essence with just a few variations. So, for example, level 1 is mimetism. So, mimetism means if somebody's shooting at you, they have a -3 to hit you. That's it.
Yep.
So, -3 to hit you.
Plus
Now,
other modifiers.
Yes, other modifiers. But for mimetism, they have a -3 to shoot. Now, if they have level 2, camouflage means they have a -3 to shoot you. But you can also start the game with just a token. Like you just put a little token down and that's the dude. Right? It represents the dude, represents the dude on the field. He moves as the dude, he acts as the dude, but your opponent doesn't know what that is. Now, where it starts getting complex is a mind that's deployed goes down as a camouflage marker. So if you have a model who has camouflage and mind layer, you're putting down 2 camouflage markers. So you need to make sure you know which camouflage marker is the dude and which camouflage marker is the guy, is the mind. Because to your opponent, they look the same. They're both silhouette 2 camouflage markers.
And that also plays into the camouflage ambush because you can put a camo marker down that is a dude and just a dummy camo marker.
Yep, you're jumping ahead, Rob. So then the other thing that's interesting is you have level 3 TO camouflage, which acts just like camouflage, right? You put the marker down, it's the dude, you move him as a dude, he represents the same, but it's TO, so it's thermal optic, which is, high tech. So it's a -6 to hit that guy when you're shooting at him. Right now, TO camo also allows you to do a little thing called hidden deployment, which means you, as the owner of the TO camo marker, don't put him on the table. You make a mark of where the guy is. In most cases, the TO camo dude has infiltration, which means he's going to be anywhere on your half of the table. He doesn't have to be a marker. He doesn't have to be on the table at all. You just write down where it is, and then you get to pop him when you want to, when he has an ARO opportunity or during your active turn. Now, the key piece to remember is that TO camo hidden marker does not add an order to your order pool. He generates an order. He generates it for himself. He can use it. He can use it, but nobody else can. It's just him. Then when you get to level X, which is the ambush camouflage, so it's just like a regular camo, but as Rob said, you're putting down 2 markers. One's the real dude, one's not, right? So you need to make sure that. Limited camouflage goes down as a camouflage marker, -3 to hit, but once the guy is revealed, he's not able to go back into camouflage. We'll cover that in a second. But he's still going to be -3 to hit him. Once to get revealed from a camo state, and I'm going to say camo state because I mean camouflage or TO camo or ambush camo or limited camo. You can reveal by either doing something that requires you to make an action, for instance, shooting at somebody, dodging, flipping a switch. Any of those things are going to force your hand and you're going to have to reveal what that marker is. Now, the guy still has the negatives. So if it's camo, it's still going to have -3, even if it's revealed.
Yep.
TO camo is still going to be -6, even if it's revealed. But if you do nothing to reveal yourself, your opponent has to discover you, right? Which is a roll. So let's just say you're an active player, camo marker. You move your 4 inches and you give your opponent an ARO. Well, they have to decide what they're going to do. They can't shoot you. They don't know what you are.
You may be a bush.
Yeah, that's not something we've talked about yet. But he is not able to shoot you because you're a camo marker. He has to figure out what you are first, right? So that's a discover. So in ARO, you can hold against a camo marker, see what the second half of the active player is going to do. You can discover. So if you roll to discover and you make your roll on, he's going to reveal at the end of that order. Let's just say Rob moves a guy out. I roll discover him. Rob goes, okay, I'm going to shoot you. So Rob's going to reveal himself anyways. So it doesn't matter my discover roll because Rob's already revealed himself. But Rob's going to essentially have a free shot against my dude.
Yep.
Because that was my arrow. Now, if I choose to hold and then Rob just moves again, he's going to stay in the camo state. But if Rob then reveals, and like, I'm going to shoot your guy, I then get a new ARO. He's revealed a new ARO opportunity for me, so I can get that. Now, this is where I say it's a simple, complex rule, because that sounds very complex. We are, again, in our rules coverage, we're not going to go through and read what all the rules are directly, just because you can do that. There are other podcasts that do that. We just kind of want to talk about how they work in the game for a new player.
You're going to get more out of playing the game and learning the rule on your own, and we want to make sure that you get the most out of your game.
Yep, there are several things that that Camo does. So if you're in Camo and it's your active turn and you go to shoot somebody, you get the surprise shot or surprise attack, right? So surprise shot is going to be -3 to your opponent. Surprise attack, I believe, is -6 in close combat. Yep. And you also have stealth with those skills. Even if you're revealed, your guy has stealth, meaning that if you move in the back arc of somebody, but you are within their alien's control range, they don't get an ARO. They can't turn around and look at you because you are stealthy.
Super quiet.
Yeah. Camo was one of the things I was really interested in when I started. So I took a list when we were playing some low points games that took as much TO camo as I could fit in. I deployed a single model on my deployment, and everything else was TO camo. It really helped me learn how it worked.
True.
What things could do. List wise, it was not a great list. It shouldn't have done as well as it did in that tournament. I think I actually came in second in that tournament.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really handy. Now, in some cases, Ariadne, for one, has a bunch of regular camo dudes. You could really take a ton of camo stuff. Now, while it may be fun for you, there's times that's going to have a negative game experience for your opponent. So I think you need to kind of weigh some of that. It's also, they're not super powerful pieces in most cases, so they're not going to win you the game because I'm going to reveal this dude who has 12 armor and a heavy machine gun and he's going to pop out from cover. Those models don't exist, right? Most of the camo guys don't have a lot of armor, aren't typically carrying big bad weapons. There are exceptions to this rule, but for most cases, yeah. The Noctifer for
the
combined
Noctifer,
is missile launcher.
I was thinking about Ariadne because now there's the silly guy.
Yeah, but so I mean, there are some in all of the armies. I think every army has, well, not every army. Most armies have some camo dude that is kind of powerful, but you pay a lot of points for them. And typically they have a downside too. They may be great because they're camo, but they don't come with any cool weapons, or they have high armor and camo, but their ballistic skill is really crappy.
Right, or the reverse, they have no armor other than maybe a dirty t-shirt, which isn't going to stop a bullet.
Yep, and that's probably more often the case than anything else. The one thing that is interesting is if you get hit by a fire attack, so if you're TO camo and somebody hits you with a fire attack, even if you don't take a wound from that, you're burnt, which means your TO camo drops to, I think it's just mimetism, right? Yeah, so it just drops from -6 to -3, right? For the remainder of the game. The other thing that I'm just going to mention here briefly is an MSV or multispectral level visor or multispectral visor level 2 will see through all of those camos once you're revealed. Yep. So anybody with MSV 1 is going to negate the -3. So it's going to take your mimetism and your camo from -3 to 0. It's going to take your TO camo from -6 to -3. MSV 2 is going to take all of those to 0. So TO camo, mimetism are all going to be at 0. So they're not going to take any of those negative penalties. That also includes ambush camo and limited camouflage. Yeah. And MSV3 is going to automatically discover you, right? They don't need to make the roll to discover. So those are some things to keep in mind. So I used to build lists where I always had at least one MSV2 model in there. I've been trying not to do that because it is a crutch against Camo and TO Camo. So I've been trying, like the Onyx Force, not taking the Mat Crap, which has that, just to figure out how do I deal with it without the MSV2 crutch.
Well, and that's really good, because if you do take the Makreb, then when you lose the Makreb, you know how to deal with it. So that's, while it is a crutch, knowing how to deal when you lose something, that's also a major part of learning this game.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. I had, when I was playing Toho before, I always took at least one of the MSV2 guys. And they're either the Spitfire or the sniper rifle, viral sniper rifle. I think it was viral. Yeah, but if I lost that model, I still had to deal with the Camo. So it really became one of those things like, I'm just not going to take them in Onyx, because it doesn't fit in my game plan, and I don't have the points for that model. So I was like, well, let's just figure out how to deal without it. So I think the Camo, again, like I said, it's a really simple rule, but it can be very complex because there's a lot of things you can do. Like once you reveal yourself or get revealed, if you get within cover so nobody sees you, you can spin an order to re-camouflage yourself, to put yourself back in a marker state. Now, if your enemy can see you, you can't do it. If there is a model with sensor within 8 inches of you, you can't do it. But again, those are asterisks to that rule. I suggest looking at the infinityofthewiki.com and looking up Camo and reading through that to kind of get a better idea of how the actual physical rules work. They lay it out pretty well there. It is definitely something new players need to figure out how to use and how to play against.
I totally agree with that. You will run across at least Camo. More likely than not, with all the TO Camo out there and having hidden deployment models, you're gonna run into a major camouflage aspect.
Yeah, my game last night with Casey, I had 0 MSV, not even MSV1. I had no camo on my side at all, and he had 3 TO Camo markers, right? Which means when he revealed them, like for instance the sniper, so my sniper, who was ballistic skill 11 and in my good range, and in a link team of 5 dudes, so I'm at 11, I'm +3 for my good range, +3 for my link team. So I'm at ballistic skill 17, right? Which sounds awesome.
But
except for Casey's guy was in cover, so there's -3. He was TO Camo, so there's -6, and he surprise shotted me, so there was -3. So that's a -12, right? So my awesome 17 ballistic skill dropped to a 5. If, let's just say, for example, I was not in my plus range, and I was not in a link team, I can't hit him. My ballistic skill is 11. That's huge.
Yep.
You pop that against a total reaction bot.
Nice.
Yeah. If you were looking for a way, if you're playing you say you're a new meta, and your opponent always takes a TR HMG bot, and you just can't beat it. If you have a TO Camo sniper, save that your reserve model, place it opposite of the table of your opponent, and on your first turn, surprise shot his TR bot, because if you get yourself in cover, his TR bots, most TR bots, I think they're all ballistic skill 11. So even if he's +3 for range, so he's at a 14, if you stack those modifiers, the cover, TO Camo, surprise shot, he's going to be on 2s. And more than likely, you're going to be on your base ballistic skill, because you should be in your good range, and he's probably going to have cover, right? So think about that. That's how you get rid of those TR bots. Now, I will say you only get the surprise shot on your active turn. So if you pop in ARO and reveal yourself, he's still going to have the -6 for the TO Camo, or -3 for the Camo, but he's not going to have the minus for the surprise shot.
Yep.
But those are just some things to think about. Again, like I said, it's a simple, complex rule, because it sounds really easy, but as you start adding layers to it, there's a lot. So go to the wiki, take a peek, see what you think about that, and what you can do with it.
And I would add, when you are building your list, go into the army builder and click the special skills that have camouflage and look and see how you want to run your force with those skills, those rule sets, so that you can get exactly what Ryan was talking about with the overlap of the camouflage rule.
Yeah, and not only that, if you have a TO camo infiltration guy, again, hidden deployment, or even a camo infiltration person that's a specialist, and your scenario is get to the middle of the table and flip some switches, those are great models to do that with, because they're going to start right up on that switch your first turn. If it's TO camo infiltration, you put them right outside there in hidden deployment so they don't show up, and then you either wait to, if it's one of those that scores at the end of the game, you either wait till your last turn and you reveal that dude, you flop that switch, and your opponent has nothing they can do about it. Even if your dude dies, he's flipped the switch.
Nope, that is 100% correct. There was a tournament that I was running that Drew Richardson of Satlock and the Oklahoma group came up to Kansas City, and they were playing. And the game that Drew was playing, I don't remember exactly who he was playing, if it was one of the St. Louis guys or one of the Kansas City guys, but he waited. I sat there and watched his game for almost the complete third round. And the gentleman that he was playing against ran dude 1 up, nothing. Ran dude 2 up, nothing. Ran dude 3 up, nothing. And then finally Drew popped the guy once all those guys had run by and was like, I'm going to kill your hacker, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and there's nothing you can do about it in my active turn. I win the game. And it was all because Drew had the patience to hold that TO camo guy in that hidden deployment phase while those guys ran by. And I was super impressed at his patience and his, wherewithal of knowing that that was the way that he was going to do.
Yep, it was. He actually did that to me in that tournament. Also, I was He was. Yeah, it was a tough game, anyways. And I actually was prepared for him to pop some stuff. And he actually, where he had it, was literally in my back art of all my guys. So I did not have line of sight at all. So he popped him, moved him up, flipped the switch, and even turning around, I couldn't do anything about it.
Yep, and it happens.
It does.
All right. So
like, we've talked their defensive, we've talked hobby desk, we've talked rule. So let's go over probably our wrap up, I think, here, Rob.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, for those of you who have not figured out, Randy has not talked since this break. He has taken to the bed, and so he was not here for the last session. Although, according to my screen, he is still on and with us in spirit. All right, so you can reach us at Personal Flashpaper on Facebook group or Twitter at Flashpaper News, or the email, which is personalflashpaperinfinity@gmail.com. Now, I want to make a little comment on that. I have actually added that email address to my phone. So if you send us an email, I typically will check my email a couple times a day. So there's a chance that I'll get back to it pretty quickly. If you respond on the Facebook group, Rob and I typically both look at that multiple times a day, as we're either on WebEx phone calls, meetings that don't concern the pieces we are dealing with, or just need a break from the world it is that we live in. We'll pop on there. But what we have talked about as a group, Randy, Rob, and I, is, and Clayton used it earlier this week, send us your list. If you want us to review your list, send it to us with the caveat of this. So we've talked about, we've done US Ariadne, we've done Onyx Contact Force. So in each of those extra burst episodes, what we talked about is, I like this model. Every list I'm building has this model in it. Or I want this model to do X. Give us that note. Don't just send us your list. Hey, here's my list. What do you think of that? Because we're like, okay, that looks great. Or I'd replace all of this with these things because this is the list I want to run. So what Clayton had done in his is, like, he wants to run a limited insertion OSS Aleph list. He wants to look at running a duo and a fire team no bigger than, say, a Harris team. Yep. All right? What's his thoughts? So he put a list up there. So I looked through it, and when I said, hey, you have a diva with a diva bot here,
I would take this diva out and put in the diva with an MSV level 2 and a Spitfire, right? It gives you the option of making your link team a 4-man link team or still running the diva as a lone model, right? My thinking was there, it gives you another attack vector that is pretty good because let's face it, Spitfires in midfield are really good.
Good.
I didn't change the Corvus list. I swapped out a few pieces. And actually, I didn't swap out any pieces. I actually swapped out equipment so that the points would fit. But I had all the same ideas behind it. And then it sparked just a little bit more conversation. And then my thought, I think it was he brought up, was like, so what do you think? Both my attack pieces have MSV, so white noise is going to be a problem. To which my point was, you're right. White noise and albedo could cause you a problem. But smoke and camo and TO camo are more prevalent than white noise and albedo.
Which is true in our meta. And the reason I want to say that is because Nathan Roberts, who is at Iowa Incident right now because he is from Iowa, shamboed me in one of the tournaments in Des Moines with white noise and an Aleph list that I had, and he just literally took me apart. Clayton's concern is true, but you are 100% correct in that camouflage and smoke are much more prevalent in the game.
Yeah, and even so, like white noise, I think is only available. Yeah, so it's only available on the Hacking Device Plus. Kernow has it as an upgrade, and I don't know of a whole lot of other sources. So really,
they're pretty rare.
Yeah, there really is not a lot of white noise out there. Albedo only lasts for the first turn. So if you know your opponent has a model, if they placed a model with albedo, then you could essentially put your MSV2 guys in cover or out of line of sight, right? And if I'm not mistaken, albedo still allows you to fire through it just like you were smoke, so you still shoot back. You'd be at like a -6. I think I see a lot more camo and a lot more smoke than I do the others.
Nope, that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, but so the point is, if you want us to talk about your list, look at it, give you some thoughts, that's what we're going to look at. We're going to say, how do you want to use it? What pieces are must-haves for you? What is your idea behind the list? And we're going to work from there, because what we want to do is help make your list your list. It's not going to do me any good to give you my list, because you probably don't play the same way I do.
Nope. Ryan is Ryan, Rob is Rob, and you are you.
What is this, Sesame Street?
I was just thinking that. I have been drinking. It is a PFP episode, so.
And it's Thursday night.
You're not my babysitter.
You don't have any babies.
I got 3 furless babies. Cats, for those of you that don't know.
By the way, my wife, the picture you have of Skeletor Kitty, I showed my wife, I'm like, yeah, that cat is plotting your demise.
Oh, the one that is my current profile picture on Facebook?
Yep.
That's the Egos.
Oh, that's Egos?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a picture. The picture that I posted in the...
Oh, you're right. There it is. It is Egos.
Yep.
Yeah. But she is totally like...
Where are my treats,
human, I am ending you.
Yep.
All right. Rob, do you have any closing thoughts here?
I want to really say I hope everyone from Iowa Incident had a great time. I hope you have all safe travels back to your, original home states if you are not from the Iowa region. So huge shout out. I hope to see you guys at either Adepticon, Mission Critical, some other event, some other place, because you guys are awesome.
Yep, I would have to agree. I was really saddened that I wasn't going to be able to make it. It's for the best that I was not able to make it because of other stuff on my agenda. But I will miss. There's a lot of good people going to be there.
Super good people.
I've had multiple Facebook Messenger conversations with folks that are going to be there. There's a lot of good gaming groups. It should probably be a really good time. Kansas is sending up. I think we're sending up 5 people to represent us.
It's either 5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. Rob and I are sending some liquor, so we'll be there in spirit.
Literally.
We are looking at planning some trips for the next year. The only one that I currently have that's a definite is the beginning of May, and that's Mission Critical.
Mission Critical, Joe Rogers.
Yep, Joe and I that may have been a conversation I was having this week with with Raj. He's actually going to come on when we get closer to that announcement and talk Mission Critical.
Yeah.
Danger Rose can justify, who came in from Panama for Mission
He
Critical.
needs to come to another conference,
Yeah.
as I put air quotes around conference.
Yeah, you got to come back. You're stuck now. It's a hell of a good time, where the emphasis is not on winning. The emphasis is on playing games, having fun, and just enjoying the weekend with other nerds playing games and having fun.
And that's what we like, having fun.
Yep. So with that, everybody, look at your schedules. Let us know what tournaments you think Rob and I should attend next year. I will tell you right now that Adepticon is hard for me to do. Rumble is already sold out.
Yeah, sold out in 36 minutes.
Yeah,
What
is that not
craziness is that?
insane? Oh, that's so good. So right now on my radar for bigger tournaments is Mission Critical, is Iowa Incident for next fall. I have been thinking about LVO in February. My issue with that is my daughter's birthday is February 2nd, so I will have to either plan to have the party before then or...
Choose wisely.
Yeah, so that's going to be an issue. But if you know a big tournament that you think Rob and I should attend, let us know. We are attempting to get Randy to go to Mission Critical. So if you really want to see a place where hopefully we can all three be together, hopefully Grant Fetter will make it to Mission Critical this year.
Yes,
and then all
'cause
four
Grant
of us will
Fetter
be
is in
together.
Iowa.
Yeah, that would be a good time. I will tell you that the later in the weekend as Mission Critical goes, the less coherent any of us get.
And with that being said, I understand that, like Ryan said, his daughter's birthday is in the same weekend as LVO or another tournament. We understand life happens, but we want you to know that we're more than just talking heads in an echo chamber. We want you to reach out to us. We want you to tell us what you want to hear.
Yeah, if you got ideas of things you want to talk to them, again, remember, we're going to always try to come from the perspective of beginner players, right? So if you're an experienced player that wants to hear us talk about some more rules or actually some more game functions, or actually really replaying games we've played and what we've learned from us, let us know. If you're a new player and you're stuck, again, like either your list is not working for you, you can't get the models to work right for you, let us know. We will help try to walk you through that either through the show, through Facebook, through email. One of those, we'll reach out. The one thing that I've always really loved about this Infinity game is the community. Since we have started, you'll notice that almost all of the other Infinity podcasts will mention the other Infinity podcasts. White Noise has people on from other podcasts. Rob and Randy and I have had that conversation, and we are going to attempt to start doing some of that also, just making our global Infinity community closer together. I think it will only do things Rob and I and Randy all have talked about. It will only be positive for Infinity as the game
And the community.
Yep. So with that, Rob and I are going to sign off. Randy wishes you all well, as he is probably napping right now.
Oh, he's probably sawing logs by this point.
Yep, he is probably out. He is working nights, for those of you who don't know. He is in school, for those of you who don't know. And he pulled an extra shift at work, for those of you who don't know. So Randy was functioning on very little sleep.
Like none.
Yeah, but we are helping Randy pull through all this so that he will get out of school and be much better off in the healthcare community and get to play some more games.
Yeah, because more games is fun.
Yeah. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and Rob, I will chat with you tomorrow.
Yep, I'll see you in the office.
Bye, everybody. Have a great night.
Beans don't burn in the kitchen.
Background music. Los Pilotos tell me so cooling. The use of these human works of music is granted under the current Creative Commons license terms and agreements. From the freemusicarchive.org, from the artists as listed. Thank you. Goodbye.
Fucking long does it take to start a goddamn recording?
Jesus. Wiki. Welcome.
We're
Welcome.
recording.
I know. I have the power of the edit button, motherfucker.